heard you started up a new playthrough of Pokemon, Austin.
Yeah, you're gonna put me on blast in front of everyone?
No, I'm only bringing it up because it's one of those things that I feel a small sense of security every time I see a new Pokemon. I'm like, oh, that's just gonna make Austin's day, you know?
Yeah.
It's a new little guy to catch.
Back in my day, when you got Moltres, you had Moltres, and that was the end of it. you could put a little check mark in that box and be like, Moltres taken care of. Don't have to worry about that anymore. These days, they got new Moltres. He's Dark type now. You hear about this shit?
Yeah, the Galarian. I have never even caught those. It's crazy. There's a Galarian fighting Zapdos, and I don't have it.
I have two of each of them. Would you like one?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
Okay.
It would mean a lot to me to have fighting Zapdos.
I literally did to start Shield though, because they started doing this thing where there's multiple versions of every Pokemon. You can only get one version on a playthrough. So I picked Dark Urshifu and Ice Calyrex and Regieleki last time, and the game was like, well, if you would like Water Urshifu or Shadow Calyrex or Regidraco, that will be $60 American, please. That's not how I roll. So I stashed all my Pokemon in a safe place and started over to get the other ones.
Truly magnificent. Big Nintendo, big Game Freak. They don't know how to respond to a beast like you. You're just built different.
I am the big Game Freak. This is not a spew punk. Maybe you're like, oh, then there's a new episode in this feed. I'll just listen to it. Oh, it's Quinn and Austin talking about Pokemon. It must be Spew Punk, the beloved bonus show where we talk about movies and games and spitting in people's mouths. But no, this is the core show, Dice Funk, where we pretend to be dragons. You're Dicaprio Devereaux. I'm everyone else, and we are doing Downtime Arc. It is going really well. This is the last one we're recording. I don't know if that will be clear from context clues, but 20 years are passing and there is a dragon Cold War. Lots of intrigue, lots of things to establish. Dan and I went pretty long. It's pretty funny because part of the reason we're doing these separate recordings is because I was like, oh, everyone has so many ideas. Everyone has 2 items to introduce. We can't make it all fit. Dan and I recorded for 2 hours and didn't get to the second item.
Oh my god.
So that's the kind of vibe we're fucking bringing. Everyone's locked in. It's dragon time.
Yeah. I am super excited. I am playing Dicaprio Devereaux. Do I introduce my items now so we don't forget on this one? And then, whatever happens, happens? What do you want me to do, Austin?
It'll take 8 seconds for you to say your items, so you might as well. It's not worth arguing about.
Yeah, so I have, of course, on Dicaprio Devereaux, the zipper costume rack, the Gucci sunglasses, the Dyson Spherine. My Illusion has been destroyed, so I'm officially taking that out of my inventory now. I've noted that on the air a couple times now. The Nev's Disc, aka the Nuke, the Landscape, the Perfect Pearl Ring, which is part of me, but I guess it's still in my inventory. I don't know.
I crossed it out because I can no longer take it from you. I can't
Okay.
when a Cymbeline, crits on your ass. I can't look at that list and grab the pearl out your shit.
Yeah.
It's in there.
It's unfortunate that you can't do that. Or, well, I guess I was going to say it's actually good that you can't, but actually I need stuff to water down my inventory so you can't just take the nuke. I need like buffer stuff, basically. I also have the RIP Prada bag, the beautiful quill, the designer pearl chocolates, a Morbi banana, which is being given to Andronicus later in this arc, the ladder, and then my 2 new items. The first is called the Silk Spectre. It is essentially like a very sheer kind of gown that I wear on top of myself and allows me to cast the spell Etherealness once per arc. So I get to basically be Kitty Pryde, the eternal Emma Frost rival / best friend / romantic interest, depending on which corner of the fandom you're in. And
whoa, I didn't know that.
yeah, they have their feud goes back to the 80s and then eventually becomes like a deep-seated love, but also the 2 of them are ready to break out into fisticuffs at any moment. It's one of my favorite relationships in comics. And then also I have a lipstick that I'm calling Très Fantastique, which I'm using to justify the feat linguistics, because we have missed now a couple items where we didn't read the language, and I'm trying to help us out with that. I'm trying to make sure we're not missing anything. But also, Dicaprio Devereaux is in a pretty forward-facing role as champion of the small folks, so she needs to be able to speak all of their languages. It's an important thing for her.
The reason you got 2 items this downtime instead of your normal one is because Ulysses picked your offering in his quinceanera, and so actually you and Dan kind of tied. He has robotic Thrycreen, Warforged insect people, and so you both got to pick 2. And so neither of those are dangerous or weapons necessarily, but they represent, you got gifts. And over the 20 years, you acquired items. Obviously, everything's abstracted. So that's what's going on there. If anyone's curious.
Yes, but these should be useful items, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in use. Now, do I take the Morbean banana out of my inventory, Austin?
Yes, you should, and you should set up the Andronicus scene to open the arc. What are you two doing? Where is this headed? Paint me the picture. We were trying to condense down these 20 years into like 3 key moments that kind of represent the larger whole. Synecdoche, it's called, this technique.
Yeah, I don't know that word, but I'm sure I'll learn it at some point while I'm in college. So I'm going to go to Storytelling 101, and they're going to be like, this is called a character. And I'm like, oh, I'm taking notes very studiously.
Can you eat it?
Can I set the scene in Andronicus's place? I'm imagining this is several years down the line. Dicaprio Devereaux's relationship with Andronicus is now very public. There was a very public fight that occurred where the revelation of this relationship was sort of the onus of all this sort of starting. So at this point, it is very open. She is not, trying to be coy or anything. But a relationship that Dicaprio picked up pretty exclusively for, political reasons. I think now that several years have passed, this is taking place in Andronicus's lair where Dicaprio spends a lot of time managing his affairs. I think there is this unique warmth that their relationship has now sort of found in a way, where these aren't like, this isn't Morticia and Gomez Adams or anything like that. But what was once a completely loveless nothing, I think has become something of like almost like a bond or something like that. Almost like, like when a queer person has to marry someone else just to like, create a hetero-facing relationship or something like that.
A lavender marriage. Shout out to Taylor Swift. You're really selling the illusion recently. We're all really buying it.
Yeah. Stay tuned for the Spew Punk where we talk about that, I guess. But I think there is some level of actual like appreciation. At least I can't speak to Andronicus obviously, but I think Dicaprio actually is starting to kind of like Andronicus in that he is very simple. And in the world she deals in, simple's not something she gets to interact with all that frequently. Like this is a guy who just like comes in, he's just like, check out this bomb-ass tart I just made. And she'll just be like, oh sweet, that is pretty good. And he flies off and does something else. And that's like, sometimes the exchange they have. So
yeah, I feel like he's reached a level of age and like maybe cynicism or weariness where he doesn't bother to disguise things anymore. He just says upfront what everything's about at all times because he's just tired of the subterfuge. And also, what are you gonna fucking do about it? I can summon the light of God to scour your flesh from your bones. So you just reach a different mindset eventually there. To contrast this with your previous downtime with him, I think that one you two were at this lair as well, but you were kind of alone in like the kitchen. Is there like a buzz of ASMR activity here? This has been several years, so they've perfected the Mobius banana split and they're like making them in great quantities for guests. It's like, in the busy buzzing kitchen.
Yeah, is this like how, because this guy he's got like a Gordon Ramsay vibe. Is this like almost like a Hell's Kitchen with inside his lair where there's like 2 teams competing to see who can make the better Morbius bananas, and Dicaprio is just sitting in, this is like sort of like almost like dress rehearsal for it, but there's like a restaurant portion that's being sat out, and DiCaprio's over there just doing the work that she needs to as someone whose job it is to kind of keep the realm moving forward.
Definitely, there could be a competitive aspect where like he wants to invest in a new restaurant, but two people have pitched him, so he's making them compete to add to our growing list of fucked up fantasy restaurants. Dan came up with McDullahan's last recording, so that's in there now. And so,
Ooh, Basilisk-N-Robbins.
fuck, gosh, I had to write that down. Okay. Nailing it. Yeah. Okay. So what as one team are you on T snake people? They do Basilisk-N-Robbins.
Yeah.
And they're competing against another. I'm sure you'll come up with another Pellin for them to be competing against. That's great. And you
Cold Ironstone and Creamery.
Okay. What kind of people are those?
Aren't fairies weak to cold iron, or isn't someone's
Cold
weak
steel?
to cold steel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a team of fairies. Not fairy dragons. Those would have to die, but
Okay, this is progressed to full on prejudice. It's funny because you got the Mobius banana from the non-Euclidean layer last arc. What stat did you put that in? What did you say?
yeah. So Dicaprio at max level has maxed out intelligence. So I was like, well, does it statistically make it more worthy? And that's the question I then ask, like, well, what's Dicaprio doing right now? Like, what am I trying to get across? And I want to show that this is a moment where she has placed a lot of faith in her siblings and sort of taken a full investment into Rex's venture. And I want to say there is a lot of maturing that she is doing in these 20 years. And I put it into wisdom to best represent the fact that Dicaprio is not entirely trying to just face situations just with her mind, but she's trying to be considerate of all angles and be very thoughtful, I guess, in her approach going forward.
You're in your wisdom era. I think there's this, montage of all the different chefs in here cooking for Andronicus. He's walking around. He's casting a keen eye over them. You're taking some sort of notes, and he offhandedly just says to you, "Oh, thank you for the spell slots. By the way, I couldn't get back from the Western Sea fast enough after my fishing trip, so I was quite stuck out there without your teleportation magic. I hope I didn't inconvenience you."
As DiCaprio is thinking back to when her two strongest spell slots were taken in the midst of like a giant fight against like eldritch beings from another world, and she's just like, "No, it's fine, darling. Didn't even notice it."
Ah, wonderful. I do have good news, though. I did meet some interesting fellows on the trip and got some interesting lore about the Numina is the plural of Numenon. Sorry about that. And I don't know if you're still looking into that, if you're still interested. It's a quite fascinating topic.
Of course I am, darling. It's here to lead all of the Cookie Mountains into a new age of posterity, and of course, to do that, we have to have some idea what the Cookie Mountains have waiting for us.
Well, that's just the thing. I'm quite curious to see if it's even related to the Cookie Mountains. Let me pull up my menu here. He's written on the back of like the dessert menu is like his notes he got from random people on his travels. Once again, he only really seems to light up with genuine interest when people are talking about something he's never experienced before. So you're one of the only people who's bringing him shit like that. And he's looking at it and he says, "Well, which would you like first?"
May I see what's on the menu?
I mean, he shows it's a dessert menu on the front, and on the back there's notes about the two potential Numina that Viola told you about. The
Aelith and the Fulgor, I believe. I think DiCaprio is going to ask about the Aelith.
All right. He says to you, I found someone who described the legend of the Aleph. It means beginning. You know how mammals, when they have babies inside of them, their interior egg, if you will, they're connected to the mother by a cord. And when they're born, they have this navel. It's like a wound in their stomach. You're following so far?
Yes, I'm aware of the disgusting, revolting habits of mammals, yes.
Oh, well, this bellied button, as they call it. Imagine that the world, the universe, has such a thing, such a wound from its creation, as where if the beginning of all things sprang out from this point. This is what is called the Aleph, which you would believe stayed in one place. That would be a reasonable assumption, yes? And he's like talking faster and more excitedly as he's getting into this weird stuff.
Yeah, Dicaprio's like, it would make sense for it to stay in one place, but from what I understand, these are things that can't truly be known, so applying a particular kind of logic really would be kind of missing the point, I suppose.
Perhaps it is truly just inexplicable, but what I gathered in my travels and talking to people is there's a belief that the world we live on, Arabella, is part of a larger structure that is moving throughout the universe, maybe in circles or in figure eights, like the morbing banana, and it passes this wound, this navel, the beginning of things, and some sort of this is the thing. This is he's getting like tripping over his words. He's so excited. They say that if you look into it, you can see everything reflected in it, all of creation throughout space and time, because it is the point from which everything originates. Isn't that fascinating?
That is quite incredible. The Aleph moves with Arabella, or we just every so often intersect with it?
If I had to guess, I'd say everything in the world moves except for the Aleph.
Does it ever not consist with Arabella, or is it always within the parameters of the New World?
Well, the gods gave us Arabella somewhat recently after the old world was destroyed, so it certainly wasn't here before because this wasn't here. So I have no idea how or why it would intersect with the Cookie Mountains specifically, which is why I find it quite interesting that Viola would tell you that it would be here.
Is there a possibility she might just be mistaken, or is there some possibility that it really is in some way connected to the Cookie Mountains? Like, do we have any idea where it currently is sitting?
Anything is possible. She could be mistaken or deceitful for all I know. She has a reputation as being quite chaotic, although you have some history?
We dated for a brief period in a time where rebelling against my father felt like the right move to make, and I perhaps overlooked some of the tendencies to Viola that are... Oh God, I'm trying to be nice. She sucks, but she's Rex's girlfriend now, I think. Don't let anybody... Those teams can't hear me, right? I can't have this spreading around, all right? But I don't like her. But she does possess more knowledge on these topics as someone who honestly probably doesn't seem to have too many responsibilities in her life. She has a bit more time to explore those things, I guess.
I don't think either of the restaurant teams speak Draconic, looking at over the Fae and what was the other restaurant?
Yuan Ti.
Oh yeah, the snake and the Fae. They're speaking fairy and snake, respectively.
Dicaprio is going to be like, well, you shouldn't be too sure. Ever since the news came out, a lot of small folk are starting to get their licks in Draconic, preparing themselves for the day that they will too join the brood in the sky.
What a strange new world we find ourselves in, huh? He seems like genuinely tickled. He's like, I've never lived in a world where everyone is a dragon. That sounds wild. One of the few people that you speak to on a regular basis who's not mortally terrified all the time about what's coming up, you know?
Yeah, he seems pretty pumped for it, which makes me glad he's on our side.
Yeah, he says about Viola.
Especially considering I heard some stuff went on in Dan's campaign, or Dan's little downtime, that seems to suggest we have a pretty big opponent against us now.
Yeah, I think you're referencing the fact that your dad is now on Rosaline's side specifically.
Yeah, it makes me very glad that Andronicus is on our side at this point.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Like, out of character mechanics talk is that you definitely need him, I think, to avoid just getting steamrolled by all the people who are more powerful than you and hate you. He is genuinely an important ally now. Yeah,
and it's interesting because Dicaprio went into that exclusively looking into this as like, oh, sweet, I got this dumb idiot on our side, thank God. And now she's like, oh, actually, this is one of the most likable people in the Cookie Mountains, actually. There's no nonsense with him. He's just really excited about things.
Yeah. He says about Viola, well, perhaps her necromancy or blood magic, however she acquired her information, was false or misleading. Although I wouldn't put it past her to play a little joke on an ex. No one knows, but I think the chances of the Aleph being here are fairly low, although it could intersect with us in the future. A little teenage rebellion, a little wormling rebellion against your father is dangerous, but nothing is more dangerous than agreeing with him and following him. So perhaps it's a fair price to pay for youthful indiscretion.
Is there anything that could be obtained from this Aleph? This idea of something that opens up to beginnings? Could you go into it?
If someone has gone into it, they did not survive or come back in a recognizable way. The stories I heard are about perspective. If you can see all of space and time through looking through it, I mean, that is the ultimate espionage device, is it not? To be able to see everything everywhere all at once? You are, spy master of the Cookie Mountains? I would assume this is the thing you find most interesting.
It is extremely intriguing, but now I have to be concerned if there are others looking for it.
Oh, almost certainly. I mean, we're in the middle of a dozen proxy wars with your mother, your father, Enobarbus, who knows who else. I scarcely can leave the Cookie Mountains without a tail following me out of the country, so...
Well, I'm trying to keep all of our enemies organized onto one simple list for right now, dear, to make sure you have very little to worry about.
Oh, I don't bother worrying anymore. I think if anything's gonna take me down for good, it'll at least be a novel experience. I've never been assassinated by a dozen spies before.
You're intrigued by a lot of things you've never done before, right, darling?
There isn't much left.
You've never had an offspring. Does that not ever concern you? Of legacy left behind and such?
Ah, mating. The topic everyone loves to whisper about when we're together. I am too old to be coy about such topics. I've told you before that I took a mate when I was younger. I mean, many, but specifically the most important one was your aunt, your father's sister. She passed before you were born. And of course, we planned on having wormlings, but your father got us all wrapped up in some things, and, well, we almost went extinct. It's no secret.
And yet here we're allowed to flourish. At least that is the Cookie Mountains we're aiming to create. So I'm not pushing for anything. Of course, darling, I understand what agreement we agreed upon when we arranged this whole thing, but it's hard not to think about it as I find myself getting closer to where my mom was when she had me, that what is it going to be like to not have someone else? I don't particularly want kids, by the way. I don't think that's something a person like me should have. But it's hard not to think about it.
I've mentored thousands of fine chefs from every culture in existence, so I feel as though I have had the majority of the experience of draconic parenthood. Unlike the disgusting mammals and their crusty navels, there's not a lot of micromanaging involved. You just kind of, shout from a distance, yes, kill them, good. So, if anything, I think I have had perhaps more of this sort of experience than most, but if it must be draconic, your efforts, and yours and your siblings, are going to result in countless young dragons who come under our tutelage, maybe from people in this very room, gesturing around at all the chefs. So, if I require a legacy, then I will have perhaps more than I deserve.
Perhaps that is the way to see it. Not the genealogical offspring, but the ones we create with our efforts, I guess, will have to be where we find our satisfaction and legacy.
I'm no doctor, but I believe your brother's metal goo that turns people into dragons is made of our blood, so it might literally be in some way genetically related. I'm not a doctor, but that's, I think, how that works. I put my blood in the metal goes in a UNT, the UNT becomes a dragon. That is my snake son, to me. So who would argue?
I suppose so. It's just a feeling I suppose I have complicated matters on. You know that I did not have the best upbringing with Desdemona, and I suppose that always kind of kept me from ever wanting to try for children of my own. I didn't want to just repeat the same mistakes she made.
Is it worse to have a parent who has made a lot of mistakes or a parent who is perfect that you can never live up to? Because let me tell you, my mother, literally an angel. Flawless in every conceivable way, not the most fun and fancy-free household.
I don't suppose mine was much more. As you know, my mother also had a bit of a reputation for perfection, but hers also came with a lot more cutting, ruthless criticism at every corner. So, unless the angels critiqued you for the size of your ears pretty frequently, I suppose it was slightly different upbringings.
It was more about sin than bodily shape, but who knows?
Well, I do know that, although my sin was kind of one original sin, being born wrong. That was kind of my one big mistake that she never really let me live down.
Body shaming mother or smothering Catholic mother. Choose your weapon.
Porque no los dos, Austin.
Yeah, I didn't even think that you would have something like that in common, but now that I think about it, yeah. That's interesting. You are still...
I think there is a real warmth that is starting to come between them because they do start to realize they have connections in common. There's always going to be this distance because of the way that their arrangement came together and the fact that there's a pretty stark age gap between them. Not to make this weird, these all are like beings that have lived on for aeons, but we're talking about like adult dragon versus ancient dragon, essentially.
Yeah, the Law and Order meme. She's 1,200 years old, you sick fuck. But you're still holding the menu, and it does have notes about the other potential noumenon.
Yeah, Dicaprio is going to look over the full gore. She's going to scan it over real quick first, and then ask about this. She's like, I thought this was just a character in a fighting game.
Oh, no. Yeah, his handwriting is incomprehensible because he's either giant dragon claws or Keyrin hooves. So it's just absolutely mush.
He writes it as, like, recipes. So he's like, on this warm autumn day, I often remember my great uncle Sally, who used to tell me all about how apple pie is. But then I'm just like, oh my god, when does it get to the full gory part?
That's so funny. All chefs become afflicted with the long introduction mind virus. Now, he explains to you that on his many travels, he always asks about rare meat, like the finest cuts from whatever culture or biome he goes to, and he has heard tell of this animal that has been hunted across cultures. He says it has appeared before as a tiger, as a boar, as a snake, as a rooster, and sometimes people have seen it change. And it goes by many different names in many different cultures, but one of them was the Fulgor. And he, tracked this kind of here, where a hunter tracked it to the Cookie Mountains, was killed, and then Viola cast Speak with Dead on the body to ask them about stuff. And that's where that information got to Viola. So he tells you that if there is some sort of like legendary animal to hunt in the Cookie Mountains, it may no longer look like a tiger, which is what Viola told you. Mm-hmm. That she's like, yeah, there's a magical tiger called the Fulgor who has some kind of inexplicable powers. But that hunter who came through here was a human. And Andronicus does just mention, I think, do you not have access to a library of human memories spanning the last several thousand years, completely unguarded because you killed the dragon who hoarded them?
Yes, I believe Sycorax's lair is relatively open. I believe my sister is kind of watching over things, but if we're to look through it, I don't imagine she would have much qualm about it. I hazard to guess she probably doesn't even know half the things her mother's had saved up in memories.
So this is Austin saying the next arc is the Sycorax arc because of the choice you made at the end of the Quinceañera. You and Hop and Rex could have been looking through the memory strands over the 20 years, and I assume that's happening now and then. But there are so many of them that it fills the entire mountain that you haven't found anything of overwhelming significance. But Andronicus strongly suggests that if you prioritize that, if you do a genuine deep dungeon delve in there to really not only look for artifacts that could violate the Gladys Accord or relics, which is something that we talked about with Rex last recording. There's also the possibility that there is memories of someone who has hunted this Fulgore, which could finally resolve that mystery in there.
Yeah, Dicaprio is going to kind of note, this sounds like something you would be very interested in. An animal that constantly changes would be an extraordinarily unique meat to add to a dish.
Of course, I found this whole thing very fascinating. I've spent the last several years since you first brought this to my attention, investigating the Aleph in the Fulgore at some significant cost. It's been an adventure for me, and I thank you for it. I am curious if it is a Numenon, and I tartar it, what kind of effect that would have on the digestive system. Probably not good, but there are worse ways to go. I'll try it out first.
Well, I will do everything in my power to try to seek out any information about the Fulgore inside of Sycorax's lair when we're next in there. It is going to be a time-consuming process, but I suppose you have plenty of things to keep you busy while we wait?
Yes, I have many dishes to try every day. A new restaurant application. Someone wants to get into orc cuisine. I'm trepidatious, but optimistic. Is there anything else I can look into for you? This has been it's been a while since someone gave me quests. It reminds me of when I was a young boy pretending to be an adventurer to infiltrate the Dragon Slayers Guild. They have sent on so many quests.
Well, if I turn my attention to finding out more about the Fulgore, would you be able to do any looking into to see if there's any prediction to where the Aleph may show up next?
Of course, I will ask everywhere I go, and I will keep going and borrowing your teleportation spells as I do so.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Won't need to worry about those spells slots anytime soon, I suppose.
Oh, what level spell slot is it to look at a string? I cast look at string at a 5th level. Silly.
Oh, darling, someone always shows up whenever we do one of these things, though it's rare that we get to do an entire heist inside of someone without a level 20 fight showing up at some point.
Oh, it's only happened, 8 times? What's the chance it's the 9th in a row? It's unlikely.
Statistically impossible. That's what I have been slowly figuring out. In return, though, do make sure that you are able to appear at some of the small folk appreciation events we are doing, at least for a quick smile and a wave. I know so many of the small folk love your restaurants. I know it would mean a tremendous amount to them to see you there.
He gives a little huff because he's done so many public appearances. This is very boring to him, but he does it for you. He says, "Yes, chef."
I want to, because again, I want to establish they're not. I don't want to say romantic, but I imagine there is some affection there. I don't know if it's like her tail wrapping like around his head or something like that. Like not like a strangle, but just like some affection, or if it's like a claw on the chin or something. But there is some affectionate gesture that she gives that I think is her trying to be like a thank you for putting up with this, but know that it does mean a lot as I am, slowly trying to establish myself within this space and see Rex's goals to completion.
Is that a ladder in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
It is a ladder in my pocket. It's not magic yet, but I think if I just hang around enough magical things long enough, it eventually will be. You see, here's the thing. It's quite beautiful. They don't make wooden ladders like this anymore. Nowadays, you get like sort of a cheap synthetic material or like a metal of some kind, which truly just clashes with everything. But this is a mahogany,
Okay. Well, can you get me the special flower off the top shelf, then, ladder lady?
Yeah, and I'm gonna use the ladder to do it.
Wonderful. All right. So the Silk Spectre and the Très Fantastique lipstick. Do either of these come from Andronicus's gifts, or are they you want to introduce these in future scenes, or?
I wouldn't be shocked if the Silk Spectre was, because Dicaprio is devoting a lot of time to like keeping his kingdom running, which is just a pure act of, sort of act of service on herself. It's not as though it's an immediate. I know there's the contained like, hey, if anyone ever messes with my siblings, you'll come to defend them, right? But I imagine this is sort of a thank you to her, because she is keeping his things moving forward and like, making sure everything is like on time, ingredients are coming in when they need to, small folks' concerns are being dealt with, so there's no, discomfort within his kingdom or anything like that.
Sounds good. The next scene is one that could potentially get quite out of hand, so I'm excited to see where we're going to set it. You jokingly suggested a couple of things.
Were they jokes? I meant they're all a little funny, but I also was like, I don't know, these could all work.
I think so. Yeah, set it up, I guess. We'll talk through it. I don't want to build it up too much.
Okay. Yeah. Then I imagine this is who would be like a gnome event. It's like an event from the gnomes, a small folk appreciation event. It's their big like, advancing the forwardness of gnome stuff forward. It's basically this award ceremony that is it's just boring. Like, Dicaprio's been to it before, but she's received another award at it. She can't not go, but it's just death. Like, it's just the most boring event possible. I mean, Modron would make more sense because they're all like laws and analytics or something like that. So that it would be like just the most stuffy, frillless event possible.
Yeah, so you're getting an award for like best angles of the year from the Modron Society or something.
Yeah, absolutely, best angles of the year.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you're a pearl, like the most perfectly spherical accomplishment, like advances in round technology. I don't know. They're weird little guys. If you don't know Modron, audience, they're like robots based on geometric shapes that are even less expressive than Warforged.
Yeah, they're like creatures of like almost pure law. So they're very interested in the logic and the function of things. So yeah, it's just, but they hold an event, every so often. Dicaprio knows she just has to go to this, but it sucks. It's just one of those events that you're just like, oh God. And, like every moment of this is going to be agony, but she's finally like, she's like waving goodbye to one of the Modron as she's like heading back to, I guess, whatever, like the, equivalent of like a green room would be, like where the guests get to stay in between stuff. And she's just like, oh yes, can't wait to go out then, talk more about which of my prime numbers are my favorite. Goodbye. And just like slams the door and it's like, oh my God, please tell me they drink.
In the green room, everything is green, like not just the walls, but like the lamps, the candles, the carpet, just like absolutely pure green. And then I think that's like a feature of all their rooms. They're all just one solid color in a way that's really upsetting and disorienting.
Yeah, this is a deeply Dicaprio like steps and she's like, of course, like a color that does not blend well with me right now. This is absolutely abhorrent on my skin. Great.
And because you're at a Modron event, they're relatively small. They're, humanoid and smaller. You're in your elf form as you like sit down and wait.
Yeah, Dicaprio's just gonna, and she is absolutely on the hunt for some kind of alcoholic drink. Like, this is one of those things. She's like, if I have to go through this, don't make me go through it sober.
All right, yeah, roll investigation to see if you could find a little cheeky robot whiskey. I don't even know what that would be, but let's roll it and see what happens.
I'm going to give myself advantage in this with my Gucci sunglasses. I really want this booze. 15.
All right, 15 is good enough to find something. I think a previous guest here left their like flagon of mead back behind the couch, so you could absolutely find something. It might be a little questionable to drink found liquor like that, but you found it.
Yeah, I mean, she's gonna start pouring herself something. Like, she's gonna take a sniff of it, scowl, and then just start pouring a glass. Like awful, awful, and then immediately get to drinking it.
Wonderful. And that's a somewhat compromising situation to find yourself in when the door opens and in walks another elf woman covered in fancy jewelry, probably in a similar fanciness level to yourself, presumably.
Oh my
also...
god, can we be in almost identical outfits?
Yes, absolutely. What kind of award is your mother Desdemona here to accept? Is it just like a different geometric award of some bullshit?
Yeah. She is diamond, so yeah, it's probably like best cuts, like best diagonals, or something like that.
She's getting the award for sharpest corners, and you're getting the award for like a roundest corners or something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what kind of award this is.
Lifetime achievement in roundness or something, spherical advancement or something like that.
Yeah, Desdemona opens the door, sees you chugging a stranger's discarded wine.
I want to make it very clear. I poured myself a glass, but yes.
Okay, and she says, "Is it even worth it to secure Modron allies if we have to play these games?"
It's truly one of the greatest questions that keeps me up at night is this vote actually worth getting?
I was thinking that I would deploy them as a sort of cushion to my forces on Rosaline's flank. Fodder to sacrifice. But if I have to sit through too many more explanations of their social structure, I think I may just declare war on them myself and just take this place.
If you do, burn it all to the ground, because rooms like this shouldn't exist.
Oh, it's ghastly on the eyes.
Have you been to the yellow room? It's even worse.
Not on your life, Misty. I couldn't. You two have been sending assassins after each other for 20 years, and you're just immediately going back into like gossiping about the neighbor mode.
Yeah, no, there's a real moment, because like we've only ever seen Dicaprio and Desdemona like really at each other's throats at any of these parties, but I think both of them are very acutely aware they can't start shit here. Like this isn't the forum for that. So there is like this weird there is like we have like essentially a truce going on. So Dicaprio almost kind of like is going to kind of look to the bottle of this gin and look towards her and kind of like ask like, do you want the glass? It's not good, but it gets you through it.
Let me see if I have anything. She rummages through her purse, pulls out like a little crystal dropper, like a laudanum in an Old West thing, and she's like, "I think I could spruce it up if you pour me a glass."
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll appropriately make pour glass, hand it to her, and then like take a step back or so. Like I'm not, we're not friends, but
yeah.
I'm not trying to be like a cruel person.
Standing at just enough distance that you're making your stance clear, but not actively throwing things at each other. The rules of the Cookie Mountains are the oldest dragon decides what the rules of engagement are, and Orlando says dragons can't fight each other. Which means only proxy battles between small folk are happening right now. What do you think the state of that is? While Desdemona was dead, you put like defenses up, and there was like talk of you becoming the shadow broker and so forth. You want to maybe roll something to see how that's going?
Yeah. It's weird. There used to be like a stat for this in older editions, but they kind of removed that. So I'm trying to think what would be, I don't know, maybe persuasion, deception.
Yeah, I think if you're using espionage tactics, deception makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Because she has her elves, they're infiltrating, they're stealing, they're killing, they're doing all the good stuff, but you're out there trying to counteract her.
18.
Wow, that's very good. So yeah, I think it's going well for you. If you want to gloat or if you want to establish anything, 18 is well and truly successful.
I think Dicaprio is not going to gloat per se. I'm trying to set a different tone for the scene than the ones where we've constantly always just been at each other's throats. And Dicaprio is keeping information kind of close to her chest, but she is just going to note that she's like, well, I guess they don't call it forever war for no reason, I suppose.
Forever is quite long. I like to think of it as a war of an age. We'll look back on this and be like, remember when we wasted that entire Knoll civilization, just throwing it into the hordes again and again. What great times. We'll look back and laugh.
Yes, just like that one Aeon in which puffy sleeves were all the thing, and now we could just look back at it and realize what a ghastly era that was. I'm glad we killed all those designers, tortured them, saw to it that their families were ended.
Unfortunately, puffy sleeves will return, as all evil does rise again. That's just the cyclical nature of existence.
So true. So, how fare you, Desdemona? Did the flight here keep you well?
Oh, it's a bit cold here. The Modrons, they have some sort of heat situation with their processing. Beneath my interest at this point, but they keep it quite nippy around the place, but I adjusted.
And what does keep your interest these days?
Oh, collecting artifacts to spite your father, mostly.
Good. Word around town is he should be spited as frequently as possible.
It was quite fun. You should have seen his face when I told him we were through. I treasure it deeply, that moment.
Did you ever see anything truly interesting in him? The more I seem to find out about Father, the less of an inspiring figure he seems to be, though I suppose that comes down to learning more about anybody.
It may just be men, I think, in some respects. I've known a great number of impressive women who've never let me down, but if you're asking, was your father ever impressive? Yes, he was once quite splendid and ambitious before the old world went away.
What did Father hoard back in the old days? I know it isn't what he's doing now with the zoo and everything, but...
At this point, she pulls out like that crystal dropper again, the kind of like a laudanum thing, and puts a couple more drops into her cup and says, "Some things are best left in the past, Misty. We have so many fresh controversies to look forward to. Why linger there?"
True, we're still dealing with all of the fallout of sweet Ulysses' wonderful birthday party. I hear the robotic thrycreen of his are getting along quite well. He is developing quite a little lair for himself.
Yes, that was quite a victory for you. If I had been present for more of his childhood, I think it might have gone differently, but I will give you this. You have defeated me on the battlefield of Ulysses, but there's many more battlefields to come. I could take your man, Andronicus. I could mess with your siblings. Rex, I don't know if it's worth the effort to go through there to have to... The burns alone. But Doc Hop seems quite fragile. Is there anyone else that we could fight over?
Well, I want to make one thing very clear, dear Desdemona. I know what I signed up for when I dared to ever step out of your shadow, but if anything ever happens to Rex or Hop, I promise you the Cookie Mountains will be ruins by the time I'm done.
Ooh, big talk. Oh, what about your little pet, the sapphire one? Race? Face?
You never were too good at remembering the names of the small folk you're meant to be interacting with.
We both have this memory problem, don't we? But do you think your Dragonborn would abandon you if I asked them to? Maybe not right away. I would probably have to do a longer kind of plan.
You may have as many machinations as you'd like, Mother. It's my job to make sure that I stop all of them. So, by all means, make sure you're keeping me in business. I wouldn't want to be wasting my time away and settling on old fashions, Dicaprio is going to say as she looks at her dress, which, again, is near identical to hers. But she's still taking a shot at it.
Yeah, it's the blue and gold and whatever, that viral dress thing where it depends on the light.
Neither of which are, both of us are in a blaringly green room, so neither dress looks good in this moment.
Extremely upsetting visuals. Yeah, this whole thing has like a surreal Lynchian feel to it, this room.
Oh yeah, this is a room that can only exist in podcast form, because if you were to actually have to look upon it, it would be like just truly like atrocious for your eyes.
Yeah. She says, but are there any battlefields between us that you're interested in? I mean, I've Enobarbus and Bolingbroke are my allies. Are you trying to subvert them? Anyone else?
I'll be honest, the Enobarbus Bolingbroke thing seems much more something along Rex's line. He had much more of a kinship to them than I ever did. Something about Enobarbus's tongue has always rubbed me the wrong way. Also, he tried to kill me once.
Men and their tongues rubbing us the wrong way, am I right? Drink up.
Yeah, they clink the glass and drink up.
But she's genuinely asking, like, hey, there's this Cold War where everyone's fighting for the rights of small folk, but we agree on that, basically. You both want to give small folk more power. She's like, what are the stakes between us? I want to win. I want to beat you. What do you care about so I can destroy it or take it?
Dicaprio's just going to be blunt. She's like, I'm going to take everything you have, Mother. I'm going to take what was always meant to be mine, that you refused to ever give to me because you never wanted to give me any sort of affection. I'll take everything I need to, just like I took that first item from your hoard.
Oh, my hoard and my lair. Those are quite a juicy prize. You've built up quite a collection at your museum as well. Many beautiful pieces. It would take an eon to even sort through them. Quite interesting. A perfect collection, maybe? No, giving you too much credit.
Well, I can't take all the credit, of course. My co-worker in all of this is Lace, whose name you got wrong a little bit earlier, as you continue to get mine wrong, but I've learned to let go on that. I know that age sometimes causes the memory to forget names every so often.
It does, and it also makes the breath so much colder and sharper. Remember when I stuck you to the ground like a little bug on all those shards of ice?
Unfortunately, but thankfully, if I recall, you got your heart punched out by a giant monkey afterwards, so that was pretty cool from what I've been told.
Misty, monkeys have tails. Doc Hop doesn't have a tail in the ape form, please.
There's always a tail. It just shrinks into the monkey, so technically, even if she were a bird, she would still have a tail.
You love splitting hairs.
Well, someone's got to. I mean, besides all of your split ends. Bam! Boom! Gotcha! No, I'm not really trying to be that catty today. It's just very difficult. We seem to bring out something so vicious in one another. Is there no part of you that feels even a modicum amount of pride in what I've become, despite everything?
Pride is an interesting word. I've certainly felt a lot of emotions in regards to you over the years. Love and hate mostly, but pride, it's hard to know because you so often do things that I'm ashamed of, but you're undoubtedly skilled at them, and a parent should probably be proud of a skilled child. It's just, why must you be so you? Don't you find it annoying?
There's a moment where Dicaprio just kind of like stays quiet as she thinks about that, and she's like, as a character who has like her own deep-seated self-loathing issues, like that statement does actually hit her in quite a way, but she's never going to try to let that show. Like, she maybe her grip on her glass kind of tightens a little bit or something like that, but she's never really gonna, actually try to let it clear that it bothered her or anything like that. She's gonna keep her poker face up as best she can, but she is gonna be like, I just meant more along the lines that you're a dragon of such grand capability that the only person who was ever good enough to be your rival was your own daughter.
Perhaps you will be that rival. It's still early in this conflict, but I am interested to see how you handle it. We're so different. You're you're round and I'm sharp, as the Modrons love to remind us. It's
Yes.
does the Inferno feel pride for the waves?
Interesting. By the way, do you think they'll care if we just throw out the trophy? That mine's perfectly spherical. I can't put it anywhere. It just keeps rolling away.
Wait, perfectly spherical, you say?
Sorry, it's already in the trash.
Oh.
Do you ever wonder what it would be like if we didn't fight? If we had just gotten along like a normal family? If we had been more like, well, I guess I was about to say Rex and Rosaline, but I suppose that went sideways as well. Maybe dragons are just meant to hate their children.
We're not particularly known for our warmth and fraternal bonds, but I don't live in the past. I don't have regrets. Everything's a new opportunity. When you came to my showing of the Eidolon of Tiamat, I thought you would be a good daughter and we could patch things up. And sure, I thought about the future. I mean, the future is infinitely long ahead of us, and anything is possible. If you want to swallow your pride and ask for forgiveness and get my artifacts back, you can join Enobarbus and I on the winning side. What's helps in small folk? It's not too late.
Yes, unfortunately, that sounds absolutely awful. I don't think that'll be happening. I was more interested, I guess, in the waxing rhetoric as we wait for, I don't know, what award are they at right now? Most rhombus-like, I suppose? Most angles that are congruent?
Yeah, so something about the tangent or the cosine.
Oh, gosh. All this small folk math stuff just is so terribly boring. Dragon math, now that's where it's at.
My teeth plus your throat equals happiness.
Oh, I really thought you would have a more interesting idea in mind than just ripping it out with the throat. I thought there was a grand plan in mind, but perhaps the savagery is what you're truly seeking.
Sometimes you need a little savagery.
I'm learning that. It seems as though sitting back isn't always the way to go. Perhaps my brother has the right way of doing things. He's rather interested in just ripping things apart and seeing what happens afterwards.
Speaking of your brother, I have been trying to attune to some of my artifacts, my Pearl of Resilience and my Epaulets of Desert, and I find their absence conspicuous. I know you didn't throw them off Arabella. She looks past you and through you.
Yeah. Dicaprio is just going to say, well, unfortunately, I haven't been spending my time learning everything about the world of forms, as it seems their whims for intersecting with ours can be rather mysterious. So perhaps that is something you could enlighten me about, Mother. Is this something you've been spending a lot of time researching?
Perfect things are my life's work, darling. So, of course, I'm always looking for new artifacts that connect to the world of perfect things, and you so rudely have helped yourself to my collection a number of times now. Quite rich of you to claim the moral high ground with your sticky fingers, but...
I was just making up for all those birthdays. You never got me anything.
Oh, the elves got you many things. They went shopping for weeks, ungrateful child.
You could have still shown up, Mother. It wasn't that busy.
You don't know if I was there. Maybe I was in disguise as an elf.
Why would you have done that? You're always looking for the center of attention.
Some of us were made for it, and some of us are more of a peripheral role, which is, I assume, where you are with sneaking in the shadows and such?
I operate where I'm best, and I have two wonderful siblings who are able to help complement me, and I treasure them for that.
Well, treasure them while you can, if they're going to be helping themselves to the artifacts I'm attuned to again. It won't be long before they find out what perfection truly looks like. On the other side of the veil between the material and immaterial world, that felt like such an easy trap to avoid and walked right into it. Wonderful.
Hmm. Well, again, a piece of advice, Mother, if I may. If you're going to do anything to Hop or Rex, you need to make sure that I'm taken out first, or there won't be anything left afterwards for you to gloat over.
I'm not a common barbarian. I'm not going to put them in the queue and waste a couple of their boring years getting wasted with trollops or whatever they're up to half the time. No, of course, the battlefield will be in making them see you for who you are and hate you and your whole annoying thing.
Oh, well, fair enough then. I don't know. I believe we've gotten quite friendly over recent years. A lot of rough edges have been smoothed out, so you might have missed your opportunity for that.
Oh, did it smooth out the rough edges when you put Rex in the lamp? I believe that the lamp is quite sharp at several points, but who am I to say?
Well, I have also devoted myself entirely to seeing his dream of small folk becoming dragons into a reality, so I'd like to think we've made some sort of middle ground there.
An accomplishment, of course, for which he will get no credit. Enobarbus is light years ahead of him. There's all the dwarves in the mountain working all day and all night, so thank you for solving my goals while being my enemy. Masterful stroke.
We'll see what happens there, Mother. There's still quite a lot left, and I'm not sure how many dragons you have brought into the Cookie Mountains so far, but I know that we have at least seen one, so infinitely more than you right now.
Can I get a perception check?
Yes, you may. Ooh, I have a good number in that as well. Ooh, not that good. 13.
13 is above average. I would say the thing you perceive is an eerie quiet outside of the green room. There isn't the beeps and whirs of the Mojons. They're grinding gears. Also, you've been kind of left alone for a weirdly long amount of time. So you two have been, sniping at each other and reminiscing and so forth, and maybe just lost track of time. And you, with a 13, are just like, huh, weird. We've been here for a while, and it's quiet.
Is she between me and the door?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go past her and try to see, open the door and be like, what is this? Did I miss the event? Is my award rolling down the mountain right now? Where is it?
Yeah, you poke your head out of the green room into the blue hallway, floor, ceiling, walls, everything completely shockingly blue. And with your 13, I would say, yeah, the silence persists, but you don't see or detect anything immediately, obviously, of note. But yeah, there's just nobody here.
Just gotten rather quiet lately. Perhaps the festivities are coming to an end, or maybe the batteries are running low. Do they run on batteries? All the small folk are different. I don't even know anymore.
I think it's a punch card system. You were up next. I just got here. Maybe they're waiting for you?
Yeah, I suppose so then. Fashionably late is not always the way I'd like to go, but it does strike every so often. So if you'll excuse me, I do believe I have an award to accept.
Do you require a chaperone? You young woman all alone in these hallways could get quite lost.
No, I imagine I can find my way through quite a lot of things. I am more powerful than I think anyone can imagine.
Well, I could imagine quite a lot, so good luck.
To the next time we see each other, Des.
I don't think my eyes ever leave you, Misty. I have people everywhere.
Yeah, Dicaprio's gonna head off with that and mentally make a note to increase, the sort of I don't want to like the intelligence going on within her kingdom, like to make sure that like there aren't spies that she isn't aware of. Like she is just mentally making it like go back, tighten up security around me and Andronicus's kingdoms and whatnot.
Of course. Can I get survival to navigate the labyrinthine hallways of the Modron Convention Center or wherever they give their award? Probably at an obelisk or something. Probably in a horrible pyramid.
Yeah, some kind of obnoxious structure you never see otherwise. 20 to survival.
So good. I think as you begin navigating, you know exactly where to go. And with the 20, you can smell something. I'll just say it clearly because 20 is exactly the number I needed, is that there's like a burning smell up ahead that reminds you of like damaged technology that you've encountered either at, Barbas's or at, like Rex's before. So with the 20, you believe that it's the equivalent of like smelling blood if these were humanoids.
Yeah, I think Dicaprio is going to pick up her pace and try to see what's going on. Like there's like a moment of like, fashionably late, I'll walk briskly, and then it's like, oh, hold on, I'm actually going to start running.
Yeah, because you got a 20, I will say that you could follow the smell of like burning wires and stripped gears, and you turn a corner and you see there's a heap of dead Modron at the end of this corridor, and you also can see a group of kobolds, humanoid lizards, clearly dressed like in stealth camouflage, sneaking about, going from room to room, hallway to hallway, killing all the Modron they can.
Let me see. How do I want to kill these things?
Yeah, because you're in a Modron building, you can't really become your full Diamond Dragon self. I think if you were just a dragon, you'd just be like, yeah, I'd vaporize them, but you're kind of restricted to your elven form. Kobolds are the weakest humanoids, but there's a lot of them. You see, it's like a whole strike team. They're like, I mean, the word that comes to mind is ninjas.
Yeah.
They just came in and started ninjaing through this place.
I'm gonna say this. I want it to be that Dicaprio is because there are still Modron that have not been killed yet at this point by these kobolds, and I want Dicaprio to kind of come in, firing out her frost breath, taking out some of these assailants, and then I want her to like kind of inspire these Modron to be like, you have not been abandoned, you will be saved, and like get them on her side and like use that to like kind of start swinging the numbers, because I could do this for a while, but I only have so many spell slots and like as like an elf, so like this is her way of kind of getting through this. I think that this is like, Rex or Hop, they would just turn into something physical and start punching their way through. Unfortunately, Capri really doesn't have that option, but she is inspiring, so I want to see if she might be able to do something like that.
Is that a spell or ability, or do you want to roll like intimidation as just a skill to rally the troops?
I was gonna say persuasion as a way to rally them. This is her trying to do like a heroic thing. Like I want this is like when All Might shows up and is like, I am here. It looks like this is like a tragedy happening, and I want her to be like this heroic figure in the moment.
Yeah, I think persuasion is more facts and logic. Intimidation is like getting the blood up. So, not to split hairs, but I think that is the correct roll here.
9 then for intimidation.
Yeah. So you run into the hallway, you try to rally the Modron, and they start fighting back and start losing because, I'll say, the roll failed, obviously, but it's not like you did anything so particularly wrong. It's just that one of the kobolds has a sword of pure white that seems to slice through everything in a single blow, killing them instantly. And this guy is Keeper, your best friend.
Of course it's Keeper.
Uh-huh. And Keeper says, "Oh, Miss Dicaprio, it's been so long since I've seen you." Looks down into the hand mirror, looks back up at you. "You're looking so well. Are you here with your mom?" Looks down at the mirror, looks back up at you.
It's interesting. I would have assumed that tactics like this would have been beneath Rosaline, but it does seem that she is okay killing civilians at celebrations.
Oh, Rosaline doesn't know I'm here. I just thought it'd be a good opportunity because she can't be a dragon in these narrow hallways. So I was just taking care of these things for Rosaline, whose teeth grind our foes to dust.
Oh,
Looks down at the mirror, looks back up at you.
darling, I think you're terribly confused then. This is actually rather a faux pas, actually, amongst the cultures. You're actually going to be damaging Rosaline's condition if you continue to keep this up. Do you want me to guide you to a better place where your actions can perhaps be a bit more appreciated?
Whoa, okay, this is interesting. Now hit me with that persuasion, because Keeper would never do anything to dishonor Rosaline intentionally. He was frozen at a peak of fervor and support.
28.
Fuck me running. Yeah, you crush it. Tell me, just you narrate the whole rest of the scene. You save your mother's life and the lives of all the Modron at this awards show.
Yeah, so Dicaprio is basically going to like talk Keeper out of this and start guiding like Keeper and these kobolds out of the facility, get them out of harm's way. But then in a way, save her mom's life, quote unquote. But like she told
Quote unquote. No,
yeah.
for real. You don't know the stats of the sword. For real.
Well, hold on. But she did say she was going to redirect it somewhere. So she is going to tell him where some of Desdemona's small folk are, and whatever happens, happens, but she is redirecting them out from these Modron, and sending them someplace where at least soldiers will be.
100%. No, you're in a Cold War. There are numerous proxy battles all over the Cookie Mountains. If you tell a Keeper where Desdemona is keeping some of her forces, he will just show up and kill everyone. That is cool to him. He loves it. So that is absolutely, with a 28, I'm just telling you straight up, it works perfectly. He goes and does that.
Sweet hot dog.
But yeah, I think rumors also spread that you have saved your mother's life at an event. So I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, great. Dicaprio loves any, great press that she gets where it makes her look like she's the hero. She's much rather that's the story that came out from that event and not like a Dicaprio sends assassin to murder enemies of her army, or anything like that. So yeah, I'm all on board with getting the big praise for this.
What a 28 that was. It all worked out. One final scene. Anything? I assume your mother didn't give you any gifts there.
No.
We don't have to.
No, but when we're referring to small folk, Dicaprio is, and we've noted before, Dicaprio is like pro small folk. That's been the case since we killed Desdemona and kind of started taking that position. But we never really like focused on it. It was always a joke. It's like, we're pro small folk. It's like, but you haven't done anything for them or anything like that. Dicaprio is now making more of an effort to like actively try to help small folk. She still doesn't care about them. That is something that has not changed. This is entirely an affection she has for them through the lens of Rex exclusively. But she is actively out there doing that. And I think that is where the lipstick is going to come from, because she is off doing all of these small folk events. Maybe someone was like, hey, I really appreciated trying to see what languages Dicaprio already knows. So, she knows like Infernal and Celestial. Maybe she was speaking with somebody inside of Andronicus's small folk, and they were like, hey, I really appreciate you speaking to me in Celestial. I bet these other small folk might also appreciate it. So maybe that's a way she got this lipstick that'll allow her to communicate with more people.
I like that a lot. Two things I wanted to mention real quick about the Desdemona scene before we move on, just to underline it in case it wasn't 100% clear. One, she did earnestly offer, hey, crawl to me on hands and knees asking for forgiveness, and I will take you all back. We can be on the same side. Just admit you were wrong. And you said no, so I just want to be clear.
I will note, Dicaprio said no. I will still bring it up to Rex and Hop, but I don't think anyone wants to team up with her. But I do want it to be noted that while she said no, she will still bring it up to them, because I think if Rex and Hop were truly like, hey, we got to end this Cold War shit, can you make amends with your mom? It would take a lot of like convincing, but I can foresee a world where she's like, oh, I'll suck up this humiliation to do this, and I never want you to ask me another favor again, essentially. I think she's more open to the idea than she maybe would have been a couple, years ago when I think she was a bit more of like an angry, vindictive person. She got to experience the satisfaction of her mom being dead. So I think that changes a person a little bit.
Yeah, I think the next episode will start with like a team scene of everyone touching base. So if that's something we want to, talk about, I want to flag that.
Yeah.
The other thing was she did bring up the artifacts which connect the world of forms, which you and Rex have absorbed to become conduits. She was like fishing to see if you confirm what was going on there, because she did not actually witness either of those events. But I just want to be clear that there was an opportunity there to talk about that, and you kept that close to the chest. So you have kept information from her, and I'm not just gonna have her just like know stuff, off screen if that's the choice you're making.
Oh yeah, and I assume there's information we could have learned if I had had Dicaprio bring it up. She might have shared something in return or given us some information. But Dicaprio is in a pretty significant Cold War with her, and she doesn't feel the need to give her any information that she hasn't already obtained herself.
100%. So one final scene before we start the Sycorax arc.
Yeah. So Dicaprio is now back at her lair, inside of her grand kind of inner chamber that we've established before is sort of like where she mostly does most of her fashion designing with Lace, who at this point is getting kind of old. I don't remember exactly how long Dragonborns live. But
I think it's equivalent to humans.
Yeah. So, in my mind, Lace was always a little bit older. Now 20 years have passed. So I imagine Lace is actually getting, maybe not like she's on death's door, but it might be a situation where it's like, Lace has a little trouble going up the stairs as fast as they used to or whatever.
Yeah. I think during the Ulysses arc, we mentioned they were maybe 60-ish. It's been 20 years, so 60 to 80 over this time. So get elderly, but not crypt keeper, I also want to say, this is not to embarrass you or anything, but we have used, I think, every possible pronoun for Lace over this season. And there's a couple of different ways we could take that. One is that we just keep fucking up because we're human and make mistakes. Is there also a possibility that Lace has been doing different things with their gender presentation over their long life, and that's just something in the background, and you're a dragon, so you don't dwell too much on things like that?
I think it's entirely possible. I think that's actually a very likely result. Whereas Dicaprio doesn't really care about small folk. She cares about Lace. So anytime Lace would do something like that, Dicaprio would immediately pay attention to it and respect whatever kind of change was offered. And this is someone who she works with on maybe the most intimate level that she works with anybody with, even like more than Andronicus. This is somebody who allows her to like create the art, which gives her life purpose in a lot of ways. So this is someone who she almost exclusively respects. So any sort of shift in that, in gender expression identity, Dicaprio does go along with. This may be a situation where Lace is perhaps in like a full-on, any pronouns or, a gender fluid state where it constantly changes. An artistic person, I wouldn't be shocked if like their expression maybe matches whatever sort of design they're working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my instinct is always to try to work things into the narrative if it seems like we're making a mistake, rather than just being like, we fucked up, which maybe I should just admit I'm wrong more often. But yeah, I just control F'd the Discord, and I see that you said to someone asked what Lace's pronouns were, and you said he, they, and then I put all the sheet and it says she, they, and I think we have said different things on. Yes,
I got confused with my own memory, which unfortunately with ADHD happens a lot. I'm like, no, that's exactly what happened.
But yeah, I think it's also interesting is that this person is just going through stuff all the time that most people overlook. And maybe you're one of the only people who does notice. You don't make a huge deal out of it, but you do care about Lace. So I think that is also interesting. They have brought you, battle maps and updates, and, they're explaining to you, my lady, I've color coded the situation here. The red dots are where Andronicus has caught spies. The blue dots are where Hop has caught spies, and the green dots are Rex. Is there any other information you want on this spy map?
I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that like would be considered an ally of Dicaprio's that I would be like, ah, yes, and we'll put that down there. But I do believe it is mostly just Andronicus. Like Falconbridge and Viola are essentially the significant others of my siblings. So I don't know how privy I would be to any of their information or if they're even like on a side within this Cold War right now. And as mentioned, Enobarbus and Bolingbroke aren't exactly on our side either. So, I think the map as it's laid out is kind of what she's got as far as main allies go. And she's just gonna be like, no, I believe I've updated with everything I know, and if this is the latest reports from our spy masters, then this is what we have to work with. But this one group over here, those I did send Keeper towards, so we can just mark those ones off.
I'm going to need a special color for people annihilated by Keeper. Let me go get the inks. Just leaving. I think one of the only things we've established that Lace does is paint like really fast, photo-accurate portraits. There was like a family meeting where Orlando was like, Lace, paint this moment. It was the weasel. Like, paint me in the weasel. We look so happy right now. So Lace has mad art skills.
Yeah.
But probably does pull out another map and is like, Viola and Falconbridge are uninterested in the cause, but are supporting Rex and Hop at the moment. So I can add a separate map for perhaps the gray area they inhabit. They have skeleton forces here and demonic forces over here. So we can count on them for the moment, but that situation may change.
Oh, thank you, Lace, for keeping all of this straight and together. There's so much to keep track of between mine and Andronicus's realms.
Yes, you're the only one who could do it, though, so, it's heavy is the crown. I guess, no, that's more of a Rex thing. Heavy is the designer jacket.
I wonder sometimes if this was the right move to make.
Oh, really? You seem so confident, my lady. People still speak of your quinceañera speech with such fondness.
Of course they do. It's all about projecting the image you want people to obtain and not the one that you're currently in. I can't show weakness or else Mother would be the first to snap upon that and bring me down, but I'll be honest, this is not particularly the war I wanted to fight, but I had to do it.
To be fair, if you had spoken quite nervously about giving millions of people wings and fire breath, I still think they probably would love you. So maybe give yourself a little break. Be nervous.
Lace, if I say something honest about myself, I hope you can understand where it comes from. But I don't particularly have an affection for small folk in the way that my dear sweet younger brother does. I always appreciate and respect the ones I've met, and you are perhaps the most important person in my life when I think about it, but I never saw myself when I was young being a champion of small folk. I didn't. If anything, I thought that would have been Hop's purveyal.
Well, yes, the doctor has, academic history in small folk studies, so obviously her reputation precedes her, but I've seen some of the things she's been doing with the blue slod and the blue goblins around here, and, well, of course, discretion is key, but I know the family's dirty secrets.
Well, may I be honest with you about one more? It feels like it's eating at me not to say it, but the only reason why I'm truly doing this is because I thought about what would happen if I didn't step in, and I feel the inevitable conclusion was going to eventually lead Rex to battling with Hop. And in that situation, I thought Rex would lose.
Oh, well, Doc Hop is a more experienced warlock, so I think that is more than likely. Were they coming that close to blows? I know after the lamp incident, tensions were high, but I didn't realize it was that close to the precipice.
Rex had made it quite clear that this was his way going forward, and I never could sway Hop away from a horde of trash, and I imagined it would be as successful convincing Rex to give up this cause, so I had to learn to love them for who they are rather than who I want them to be, but I didn't foresee a good ending for Rex if he didn't have the support of us behind him.
Well, it's a quite shrewd calculation, my lady, because you have united your siblings all together in this cause, so it worked out, although you are facing down quite a number of other relatives, looking at the big map and seeing, Desdemona, Rosalie, and Orlando arrayed against you. Although this is not without historical precedent, great families often devolve to squabbles when power is on the line.
Yes, and who knows what the next Aeon will bring. We might end up all being on the same side, united against something else before I realize it. I mostly, I suppose, want to share this because I believe I haven't been treating us enough as equals, dear Lace.
Well, that would be quite inappropriate. You're much more powerful and resplendent than I am. It would be beneath you to pretend.
Perhaps I'm being too coy once again. Lace, I think it's going to be very important for you to know all this information once it's your time to join us. I told you the night of the Quinceañera, correct? You would be the first.
My lady, I'm far too old now to be put into any position of power. Just you don't have to worry about me. I've done my duty. It's just a little bit further. We just gotta
Lace,
move the pieces on the map around a little bit.
Lace, look me in the eye and tell me right now that you don't want to spend more time with your family. That you don't want all of the advantages that come with being a dragon. And if you truly don't want any of it and you're happy to reach your natural end sometime soon, I will respect it. But if there's any part of you that wants this, then know I am prepared to give it to you.
And unless flying secretly sucks, be honest, is flying as cool as it looks?
It's extremely awesome. I can do loop-de-loops all the time. Barrel rolls, incredible. I've never, no drug can match the high of doing a barrel roll in, a good gale.
Well, yes, obviously, I would love to be a dragon. I think I have so many loop-de-loops to give to the world. Also, I believe sapphire dragons get debilitating breath that just knocks people out? Well, that seems unbalanced.
It would be a tremendous tool on our side should you decide to, but I don't want to place any burdens on you. Nor, I guess, should I speak too forcefully. I'm not entirely certain how this is going to work, Dicaprio is going to say, as she's kind of metaphorically kind of rolling up her sleeves as a dragon, and she started to kind of cast these runes in the air and stuff like that.
Yeah, is the Megalon ready? I thought there was decades left of R&D, and I know Hop is using her wishes willy-nilly to get more lady friends, so I never could have dreamed that there would be room in the magic schedule for me.
Well, I have spent some time looking into seeing if there were other things that could provide wishes that might be able to help us in the meantime, but unfortunately I really just couldn't find any good leads on any of it. And I am not the most patient of people, so perhaps it's time to try something a little bit more reckless. I mean, if Hop can do it, why can't I? Dicaprio saying as she starts to kind of mimic some of the spellcasting movements and gestures that Hop had done previously when she cast her wish spell.
Well, Hop is, of course, part genie now, a catastrophic force of nature who pulls directly from the ether, and you are, my lady, beautiful as ever, but still quite fleshy. I don't know the effects. Are you aware of the necrotic backlash of the wish spell?
Dicaprio is sort of saying this as like an energy is starting to kind of like hum through her as she's continuing to like draw these sigils, and she's like, I'm well aware that there are risks, but I don't know. I suppose I am happy to take them. You have given me so much that it is the least I can do, but I suppose I'm also asking for your mercy. I don't truly know what state I'll be in after this, and you will be a powerful dragon, so if your goal is to just crunch my neck and take over everything, I suppose I have no way to stop you from doing that.
Whoa, that would be such a fucking twist. Can you imagine if Batman was like, here, Alfred, here's your own utility belt, and Alfred just like bataranged him clean through the head. It was like, my Batcave now, homie.
I'm Batman now. Puts on the suit, incredibly ill-fitting on him.
That would be sick. No, here's the thing. I think being a lifelong servant is strong, assistant, and then suddenly being catapulted to the heights of power is going to do things psychologically to Lace.
Yeah.
But I think it is not going. Yeah, they're not going to be in the headspace for immediate betrayal. But I am actually curious what this will do. I think as dragon instincts start to kick in, and they need horde and lair and all that, I think there will be friction. I don't think it's just going to be.
Oh yeah.
So
this is so we've sort of established at this point that Lace is old, and they are approaching an age in which like they could just naturally pass at any moment. Dicaprio has mentally understood that. She doesn't, totally like keep track of like ages in that same way, but she could take one look at Lace and be like, oh, she's not looking so hot. Like she's probably on her way out. So she already has mentally kind of said to herself, like, this is not, my co-designer is no longer going to be here. But instead of letting them just die and seeing how that, the death of like a small folk affected Rex in that way, she is going to try to give this person a draconic rebirth. And she fully accepts that with that means that Lace will no longer be her servant. Or even necessarily, a coworker, someone who is creating these designs with her. She is fine letting that go. And I want to establish it again, like as this conversation is happening, there is like an incredibly tangible, magical hum in the air that does not seem particularly well controlled. Like Dicaprio is doing everything she can, but there are like, lightning bolts every so often shooting off and like kind of like ripping like a line through a wall or something like that.
Earlier you rolled an 18, I think, for like, oh, how is the shadow broker spy agency stuff going? You're like, oh, your forces are outmaneuvering Desdemona's, you're doing great. And I think it's like next time we do that roll, it'll be like disadvantaged because your main spy master is like doing loop-de-loops for the first time. It's like gone on a whole adventure and they're just not around anymore, and you're like, oh, I have to think my whole organizational structure. So yeah, there's like an absolute cost there. So I mean, Lace is trying to hide their excitement. They're trying to be professional and calm, but obviously it would be sick as fuck to be turned into a dragon. And it also would give them, decades more of life, because the way senescence works is like percentage based. So if they have, 10 more years as a dragonborn, that would be, I don't know, 100 years as a dragon or something like that. It's like if you're like
something equivalent.
Yeah, if you're like 90% of the way through your life, but you get 10 times more lifespan, that's how that math works.
Well, also, interestingly, in that case, is Lace going to become an ancient dragon?
That is my belief and understanding, unless you want to pitch me otherwise, yeah.
No, I think that's very interesting. Dicaprio is essentially going to create a dragon stronger than herself in this moment. And to be very clear about how Dicaprio is doing this, she is using the wish or the attachment bond between her and Hop to basically channel this wish magic. But she does not have a vessel necessarily strong enough to do it. As mentioned, like Hop is a cataclysmic dragon made of pure steam. Like she is an incredibly powerful being that can, hold on to that magic a little bit more. And Dicaprio's like non-cataclysmic form is like starting to suffer. Like I don't want to necessarily establish too much, but I like to think like, cracks of like magical damage starting to like run up her fingertips and like into like her hands almost as she's casting the magic of this spell that is going to create a miracle effect for something.
We discussed before that, yeah, you and Hop can't just run around like finger gunsing, turning every man, woman, and child into a dragon. You would eat your own bodies like in a couple hours doing that. So yeah, it's like very, very taxing. Not so much that, you can't do the next arc or anything, but yeah, there's a real cost there. And yeah, as you said, you have actually decided that your butler is now the emperor of the mountain, kind of like according to traditional gerontocracy. She's not gonna try to order you around immediately, but like it is weird, right? Like if someone who was
this is a tremendous. It would be like essentially like if like the undercover boss thing. They were like, oh, my CEO is now my employee.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know if you have a final image of the episode, but Schmegglesby, the blue goblin, became a blue dragon, and Lace the Sapphire Dragonborn becomes Lace the Sapphire Dragon. They look somewhat similar. This was not intentional that they would both be blue. But also, I should say, York, Rex's most prominent small folk, is a kingfisher, which is also a blue bird. And so if if the natural next step is York becoming a dragon, all of your small folk representatives are blue.
Yeah, all for Hop's eventual blue hair on board, I believe.
What if that's... Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but what if?
What if? Yeah, I think the way that this scene is going to end is this, energy snapping across the room. There's, like, pulsing. There's vibrations. Like, I think there's a certain level of all of Dicaprio's kingdom. They may not be aware of what's happening, but they're all feeling the effects of this. It's like an incredibly powerful magic is being cast. And as I said, it's like starting to rip through Dicaprio's like hands as she casts it. But she is just going to say, "Rise, Lace, the Sapphire Dragon." And there's going to be just an explosion of magic that happens. And the last thing Dicaprio sees as she sort of falls over and passes out is sort of the silhouette of Lace as this ancient dragon before her. And then Dicaprio kind of hits the ground and it all fades to black.